Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kahenge, your weekly, bi-weekly, question mark podcast in which we talk about mental health and culture. Now, you guys know it's been an interesting few months we've had going on over here in terms of literally everything. But of course, we have the wonderful Akasha sisters over here who are in charge of this project and literally make it happen. Hello, Benahil and Ginza.
Hi. Hi from afar, yet very close.
Yeah, so we're trying something new, something for our original viewers and newcomers alike. We're doing this remote. Like, if that doesn't help in terms of understanding what this episode is about, I mean, you probably read the title already. I don't know what does, because we're essentially quote unquote working from home recording this podcast.
Right.
So, so without further ado, today, or rather tonight, we're going to be talking about the coronavirus and how it's impacted all of us.
My God. Yes, social distancing at its finest.
Yeah.
We're not the first broadcast to do it, but, definitely one of them. It's so nice to see you. First of all, we have Taha here on Zoom, which is amazing. I love the fact that this is happening in 2020, where, we've literally seen so many examples of beautiful virtual gatherings happen.
Yeah.
It's before we go into how this has really impacting us all, or still is impacted us all extremely negatively, I think that it's worth pulling out some of the more fun examples that I've seen.
Of course.
Right?
Very good point.
Yeah.
My favorite being the concerts from the couch. What about you guys? Have you guys seen that?
I love those.
I heard about it. I have yet to participate in one because my room's already a concert because I'm always blasting music. But you know what? I need to do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, my friend, she's a big raver. She was throwing raves in her room and sending us snaps about that. So that was really funny.
Nice.
And another thing I really like was the news channel doing the weather from home.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Oh, that was so cute. Where they had their little earbuds in and
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
talking about the weather.
Yeah.
There's a screen over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she was saying, "Oh yeah, my husband helped me set this up," so it was really nice.
That
I
is
like
cute. That is cute. Our batch, our classmates, just had a virtual lunch, and so we were able to see each other after a lot of the faces after a year or so.
Wow.
So it was a whole hour's worth of lunch. It was really nice. But yeah, some fun examples of how people have been literally coming together now that this crazy virus has literally forced us apart.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a good way to put it.
Yep.
So one of the ways that the virus has sort of pulled us apart from each other is through university and colleges and even some school districts too.
Yeah.
And that is through distance learning. So a lot of our classmates that we used to see, on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, are now, we don't get to see them as often. And they switched to this thing called distance learning via Skype or Zoom. And we still see each other's faces, but it's not the same as being in class and engaging with your friends, you know? Because when you engage in a classroom with your friends, I feel like there's a completely different vibe to learning. This is just my 2 cents on it. However, I do really like how you made the point of looking at the positive side. And the positive side is that we can still have class because of the technology.
Right.
And I think that is so beautiful.
Agreed, because otherwise, I mean, think about it for a second. Even this, if this had been not only, I wouldn't even say long. If this would have been 10, 12 years ago, our internets would not have been stronger.
Absolutely.
We would have some technology, but not all technology to maybe one-on-ones could happen, but definitely not where
group calling.
Group calls.
Zoom wasn't a thing.
No. Screen
sharing, which is so important in creative fields. I feel like I'm going through, you always got to show your work, so that's really nice. The screen recording, I really appreciate that.
Totally. And so the ability for hundreds of people to join while one person sings from their couch is amazing, something that wouldn't have been possible. Yeah
I had
Absolutely.
a guy I had in my Tuesday class, this guy was joining us while he was driving. Probably not the safest, but he had to like go pick up something from work, and it was super important. But he was still there, so that was also something to note.
How amazing.
It's awesome, like the convenience of having this app or having that ability to communicate even though we're not together is just I still can't fathom. I mean, we do really take it for granted.
Yeah.
Right.
And one of the other cool features I like besides screen sharing is that we can go on to this thing called breakout rooms. So like we'll be in a class together, and then we'll have like a group assignment. Like in my counseling major, we would have like mock sessions. So our professor would break us apart into like group ABC, and then like disperse the students amongst those respected groups.
Right.
It's just so cool to be able to do that from far away.
Yeah.
But these are the positive sides of distance learning and how we have all transitioned because of the virus. However, I believe that the negative side of distance learning because of the virus is that you're in your pajamas, you're comfortable, you're not in the work zone. I mean,
Yeah.
I can transition into the work zone just by hearing my professor's voice.
Right.
However, when I'm not in a classroom and I don't have that pen ready and I'm not looking at the screen and I'm not doing my commute to class, it doesn't feel the same.
Right. Yeah.
I agree. It's been taking, I think, a huge mental toll on everybody. Like, you break out of the routine. Like you said, you're not commuting. During commuting, you're working on whatever. Then you get to school and you're working all day. Like, it's a routine, And yes, during the meetings, you're like super inspired and listening to the professor and everything, and you're like, okay, like taking all these notes. But for me, at least, as soon as I just like end the meeting, shut my laptop off, it's like I go to my couch and I just like sleep. It's not like in school, like you end class and then like you just gotta go downstairs to the lab and just start working. So that's definitely been really hard for me.
Yeah. So I guess an important lesson, right? Like, even as I read a lot of tech articles, and, my whole Twitter is what I call design Twitter. So everybody's been terming this as like a funny experiment way before anybody asked for it, in which we are all thinking of quote unquote the future of remote working, where we are already shifting, our industry is shifting towards remote workspaces, and real workspaces are not a thing, etc. So everybody's calling this an experiment that nobody wanted.
Right.
But I think that one key takeaway that already is evolving, and this is not over yet by any means, of course, as we all know, but a key takeaway is that no matter how flawless your internet connection becomes, or the user experience of a software becomes, we all crave one-on-one, face-to-face human interaction.
Absolutely. We are social beings at the end of the day. I don't care if you're introvert, extrovert, or somewhere in between.
Yeah.
We are social beings. I mean, we know this about animals too. Like, they thrive in groups. I mean, there are moments, of course, where they need to leave the pack and be alone or be with just one other person.
Right.
However, if we're talking in a general aspect, we are social beings. And you know what? Like, I love my alone time.
Yeah.
But now I think alone time has also crossed its limits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like I really do crave that interaction. Like, it's nice to see family members and people who you're already quarantined with. However, it's like, what about your friends? Like, what about like just going out, And it's like, I know that there's going to be some people listening to this saying that we're being dramatic by not leaving the house. However, in my case, like, I physically cannot go outside and risk my or my family's health because of my history with asthma and having severe cases of like hepatitis and pneumonia in my past. So I don't want to, because of that being immunocompromised before in my medical history, I don't want to be like, okay, body, you're healthy now, but please now, go into a zone that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
And even if I was a completely healthy person, I mean, like most people who are complaining about not going out, is that you're still going to come home and you might transfer that virus to someone else.
100%. And you bring up a really good point. This is not about being dramatic. And I think that this is one thing that not a lot of people are understanding, especially, unfortunately, from, back home in Pakistan. We were talking to our friend this morning, a very good family friend. and the first cases are just popping up there.
Yeah.
She was telling us that, they're comparing these numbers to when it started to happen in Italy, and the numbers they're seeing right now in Pakistan are double what Italy was facing at the moment of this particular time in the virus being
stage
spread.
one, yeah.
In stage 1, and people are literally defying the existence of the virus.
They just don't believe in it.
They don't believe in it. Crazy stories of like people coming from Iran or other places that have, literally protested at sites of quarantines and, run police over. Yeah, run the police over
Oh my God.
and escaped. And, and like we're talking about not one or two people here. We're talking about in the hundreds. And so imagine the kind of spread
Yeah.
that people
Yeah.
from those kinds of places and countries can face. And this is not a problem with just this virus. It's a problem overall in, specifically, I guess, our culture,
Yeah.
where we think that we know better. We know better than the experts.
Absolutely. And it's like because it's not our reality, so we don't believe in it once it hits us. I mean, I'm guilty for this. When it hit us, I was like, okay, you know what? We're going to handle it. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
But now that we have like this plethora of information via the technology that we all carry in our pockets,
Right.
You and everyone who's listening to this should very well know that this is no joke.
Not
And this
at all.
is a very serious thing. I don't care if you think that you're in an area that will never get infected or you had only 2 cases. It's still serious because remember, this is a reminder to every single college, university, institution, or business that crisis will come. How will we handle it?
Right.
How will we interpret it?
Right. And I guess, like, because we really did not have, or at least from my own experience, I feel I'm not talking for like any measures or governments or whoever could have taken the appropriate measures at the right time, to be honest. For myself, like, we really did not have enough time to prepare,
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, just 3 weeks ago, everything was fine.
Everything was fine.
See, you're
Life was
absolutely right,
going
Mama.
on. Like,
That's a
people were
good
going
point.
out for coffee. Everybody was going for, like, whatever. Everything was fine. It just, I can't even pinpoint the exact day that, like, everything just came
Because it all happened so quickly.
fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
But now, though, it's funny because it feels like it's been going on forever. That we've been
You're
in quarantine
absolutely
and
right.
for, like, forever. I don't know.
So I'm a big proponent of well, I really like this quote is what I'm trying to say, and that's the grass is always greener on the other side. Like
Right.
every time I would go visit Pakistan, I'd be like, man, it's so much fun here. Everyone's here. We're having fun. We're going out. We're coming home at like 3 a.m. I mean, I could do that here too, but it was like, it was a different vibe.
Right.
Yeah.
But then when I'm here, I miss there.
Right.
But then when I'm there, I miss here.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to what crisis we're going through right now. When we weren't in crisis and you told me that I didn't have to go to school and I Zoom from home, I'd be like, hell yeah.
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 And now that I'm in it, I kind of miss going to school.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what
No,
I mean? Same thing
yeah.
with going out for coffee. It's like, if you were to tell me that I could cancel all my plans and just be lazy and chill at home, I'd be like, hell yeah. But now that I'm deprived from it, I'm like, I want to go out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's gonna take it for granted again.
I don't think
You're-
so.
Like I took school so for granted, and now just be like, oh, like I'm actually never gonna go back again. Like I will, but that whole like, yes, I was a senior and I'm actually not gonna go back again, and I actually remember the last Tuesday that I was in school and how excited I was to leave and just come back home, and I had no idea that was gonna be the last time I was gonna be in school. So like
Wow.
everybody takes it so for granted, and after this I think we can all learn something, that just like don't cancel those plans. Like if you have to, you have to, but like don't cancel them, just go out.
Sis.
Yeah, or just
Sorry.
It is what it is, but
You're absolutely. You know what? I think that really does sum it up, and it is what it is. Like honestly, I mean, but you're right about appreciating the moments that you have, because it's sort of like we're not granted the next time we're going to see our parents. Or it's
Yeah.
a sad truth, and we're not necessarily owed. The world doesn't owe us time with our siblings. The world doesn't owe us time with our parents. Like we need to be like, okay, anything. If a pandemic can happen at any second, then all the other crises can happen at any second as well.
Very true.
So it's just important to be mindful that treat every moment like it was gonna be like your final moment with
Agreed.
people.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's kind of dark to say that, but
Yeah.
you know what? Like being alone for 4 weeks and being with family, I do feel comfortable saying that.
Right.
It's true, and you've always heard that like treat every moment as it's your last. But I, for like personally,
But
I never
feel it.
really implemented it because like it was just a quote to me. But now that we're actually going through this, I'm like, wow, that actually like means something. So that like hit hard. I feel like.
Like it's not a cliche anymore.
Yeah,
It actually
exactly.
applies to your life. Yeah.
Exactly. So.
What
can
Manala
relate to
just
that.
touched on is like very important. A lot of people, again, talking about the mental health aspect of it, Manahil is actually one of those classes that might get their commencement canceled. And, you know, it's not an easy thing. You work on
I'm
something
sorry.
for 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's everybody, right? Unfortunately,
Yeah,
like,
all of the classes of 2020, like going from high school, like middle school to all the way up to college to masters, you know, like all the classes of 2020. It sucks, but what you gonna do?
Wow, I this is new to me. I mean, I know we've talked this week, but I was unaware, and I'm sorry to hear that.
it's,
Yeah, I mean, there's worse things going on, but
That's a really good way to put it. But at the same time, it's like yes, this happened, and you know because of the worst things happening in our lives, it affected something
Yeah.
that you were looking forward to. And I know, I mean, like I'm very bad with expectations, and I feel like my expectations for next year's graduation are already so grand that because of this situation, I'm kind of trying to tone myself down. You know, because you shared this story with me. I mean, who's to say? I mean, I really hope this is not the case, and God forbid, we
Yeah.
don't know what 2021 holds. We
Yeah,
literally
exactly.
don't. I mean, this is a reminder to us to stop over planning.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, don't
oh
overplan.
my God. How many, including myself, I'm just going to lay down all the cards and say, I was the over planner for 2020.
Me. Me.
You see the giant calendar up there, having planned every quarter of the year, etc. All right. I wasn't the only one. Literally everybody in my circle, everybody outside my circle, their circles, etc. Everybody had a 2020 thing going on, right? Yeah, we had no freaking clue. And you were absolutely right. Like, it's already, and I saw so many, like, you know, memes and saying, like, okay, take us back to, you know, last year or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And, you know, it's just funny. Life has come to a complete stop, and nobody saw it coming.
Yeah.
And
Nobody saw it coming. See, that's the thing that I like that you mentioned.
it's like, and now that we're here, what do we do, right? Like,
Yeah.
apart from apart from the obvious economic devastation that is already happening and unfortunately is coming up, right? Like, our businesses are suffering, people are literally being laid off left and right. You know, there's going to be student loans and mortgages that are going to be going into forbearance and pushed forward because people have no more jobs. I mean, I am not lying when I say that hundreds of stories I've seen over just the past week where people don't have grocery money.
Yeah.
I mean, this is I just
It's
couldn't.
heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I mean, look, guys, everything is linked to our jobs and how we make money, and honestly, that money goes at least the ones that goes towards necessities. When that's affected, it affects everything. I mean, even before mental health, we always discuss as counselors in training if the person has a place to live, if the person is sleeping, and if the person is eating. Because if those three or four things are affected, then we know that the mental health may be linked to the deprivation of basic needs.
Yeah.
So, if a virus, not even the virus, if the situation that we are undergoing right now, right, in terms of politics and government, if it makes people lose their jobs, we will have a huge issue with basic necessities and also mental health,
Right.
because
Yeah.
then they link.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I read something on the news, and for confidentiality purposes, I'm going to be very vague about location and who it was, or at least what I think I read. And that was somebody had taken their their own life because they didn't have enough finances to support their basic necessities.
Yeah.
During this time,
That is-
like after.
Yeah.
During
This is
during
very
these
real.
4
I
weeks,
saw
yes.
on Twitter this morning. It's so funny that this is brought up. I saw on Twitter this morning, and somebody was like, it was kind of like trending almost that this is not only the pandemic that's going on. There's going to be a suicidal pandemic that could be going on just because.
It could very well happen.
Yeah, because there's gonna be a high rate of suicides because of so many people are losing not only jobs but are losing family members and loved ones.
Oh my
And
god.
some people are just not capable of handling, so much stress at once. So there's going to be a really high suicide rate. And I read that and I was like, wow, I did not even think about that.
I'm sorry guys, but honestly, again, I did not think of that. You guys just brought up a point.
Well, she also brings up a really good point, and that's we were talking about this on a a political or government scale or a workforce and business scale. But now, if you talk about physiological health and we talk about how the virus has directly affected people, that's in losing family members from the virus or because they couldn't get the treatment because of the crisis going on. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like we have to. I mean, we are in a situation right now that affects us on multiple levels, and we know already that people who have high suicidality rates are people who are dealing with more than one major thing at once.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, the human mind can only handle so much at once, and if we don't have healthy outlets, or if we have a disbalance of chemicals in our brain, or if we have a major depression or self-esteem issues. I mean, the list goes on and on. But when you combine all those things with a crisis or losing your job, that's like the cherry on top, for lack of a better word. I mean, that really is a seal on the coffin. You know what I'm trying to say?
No,
Like,
I agree. Yeah, I
people
agree.
who are already suffering are suffering more because of this crisis.
Yeah, for even like for a lot of people, just going out, small example, but just going out was a way of, putting their mind to other things or distracting themselves. So they're not at home just thinking about, whatever. And they can't do that anymore. This is just one problem out of the many problems. Yeah.
Exactly. I was sorry to cut you off there, but people who have diagnosed OCD and things, when they hear on the news that you need to wash your hands, they interpret it differently than us. It might exacerbate their symptoms. And for a lot of people, like people with social anxiety, or they have speech therapy at school, or they have sort of their only meal is at school. When you take that away from them, one, they're not going to grow out of whatever issues they're going through. But two, they're on a more serious note, they're not going to be able to get that meal or that social interaction.
Exactly.
Or the parents away from home, which I see as teachers.
Yeah. Even if you have like anxiety disorders, every day would be like, oh my god, do I have this? And that could literally send you into like serious panic attacks of thinking that, oh my god, I might have this,
Absolutely. I mean, look, it's not even that you need a diagnosis of a mental health disorder from a DSM. It's like every single human being is affected by this in some way, shape, or form, because again, the basic life needs are not being met.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So even if you're an anxious person that's not diagnosed with anxiety, when you hear so much information on your phone day in and day out, the only thing you're going to be doing throughout your entire day is worrying.
Yeah. It's too
And
much.
I wish you guys could see we're all raising our hands right now.
Yeah. Yeah, like you turn on the news and it's like, hi, good morning, coronavirus. Like, that's it. Hi, good morning, corona.
I swear to you, if for every time I heard this name in the past, I don't know, just 2 weeks.
Yeah, even just 2 weeks.
For just 2 weeks. You guys bring up a super good point. I can't believe that I completely forgot, but like even at my job last week, one of my jobs anyway, we are constantly thinking about people who have alcohol problems, eating disorders, people who are, like you mentioned, already in mental health diagnoses. All these people are at home. They have access to these things in plenty. Unfortunately, a lot of times they are dependent on support groups that they need to go out and manage themselves or maintain their routines. So I think, like, talking about all of this, like you said, Taha, we are affected on it, about this, from this, on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
How can we make sure, or how do we, because I will be honest with you, I was just thinking about this a little bit in the morning by myself, honestly, that, having heard so many stories of people not even having an idea where their next meal is coming from.
Yeah.
Like, how many million kids in the city? 1.1 million kids in just New York City who
My
are
God.
going to these schools.
My
Like,
God.
what? Like, 90% of them depend on these meals. Like, one decent meal from schools.
Yeah.
All right? Like, just thinking about that, I was just thinking that, my God, like, I know I'm stressed. I know I'm worried about, oh my God, I'm losing a client, because they don't have the money to pay me, etc. But I'm not worrying about where my next meal is
Yeah.
coming from,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I can buy up, 2 weeks worth of groceries or whatever. And so just thinking of that, it still puts us in a position of like, what can we do in this moment where we see vulnerable people, and how do we help? And even if that means just reaching out to them to say, how are you doing? Or is there something I can help with? There are plenty of things online. I don't know if you've seen, but like freelancers, freelancers don't have a job, right? Like, that's a steady job. So more established designers, or more, better or well-known designers, are like literally saying, okay, I'm gonna Venmo freelancers
$100 or something.
$100 for their groceries, etc.
Yeah.
The stories that have come out of this,
Yeah.
insane. People are like, yeah, I thank you so much for doing this. I didn't have the copay for my next prescription.
Yeah. You saw the
Oh
Jessica
my
Welch
God.
thing and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's insane
amazing. So
how they can help. Yeah.
what do we do? Taha, like, I know we're not like, we're not we're not absolutely licensed therapists or anything like that, but we are human beings. So what is a good way, if from afar, that we can reach out to some of these people, and what will be a comforting thing, or that maybe helps in this situation?
First, I would say plant your feet first, right? Use your coping skills, your self-care to take care of yourself so you can take care of other people. Because now that you're grounded and you have your self-care met, you have your basic necessities met, now you can use all of the other spare time and resources for others. There is no excuse, especially having cell phones, that you cannot check in on other people. Check in on your family members, check in on your friends, because guess what? You might have all your necessities met. You might have all your self-care met. So you might have all your basic life needs and your mental health in check. But it's not necessary that your neighbor or your friend or your colleague or your coworker or your family member or even family members overseas have the same peace of mind that you do.
Right.
So I believe it is our task, it is our job to check in on them. Check in. I mean, it's kind of like, I sound like a broken record, because it's like a lot of the questions that mental health counselors get asked or counselors in training rather, is what do I do to help the people around me? And quite frankly, my answer is always help yourself first so you can help other people. When you get on a plane and they talk to you about the oxygen mask, they always tell you to put it on yourself first. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So always try to, take care of yourself first, and also incorporate your loved ones into that routine. That's how I would say to, especially in a time of crisis. This is new to us, right? However, there's people who live in crisis their whole lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
that's
this is
so
their
true.
reality. It's funny because you see them and you can see their posts or their letters or their social media interactions. They're like, really, you guys? Really?
It's true.
This is our reality, and you guys, you can't handle it? I mean, not to, we shouldn't be comparing people's situations. However, it's a good point. It's a good point to motivate ourselves on.
You are absolutely right. You know what I was thinking of? People don't like to talk about it at all, but like communities such as those in Kashmir, communities in war-torn areas that have never seen a normal
Yeah.
piece of life, it's I just, and this is funny and does not, it's not serious at all, but like I heard like a New Yorker tweet that, guys, I lived and I grew up in like, a war-torn Syria for 8 years. We never once went and bought toilet paper in bulk. This never happened. Like, I mean, think about it. Think about it first. You bring up a super good point. Kashmir, people of Kashmir, they've been living this since what? Like the past 50 years. Yeah. They're not allowed to come out to their houses. Their kids don't go to school. They don't know what a normal social interaction is. They don't know what it's like to go out and get groceries without being bombed on or without being stopped by military or army. Forget going out and getting coffee. I don't even think that's a thought. So you bring up a super good point. It's unfair to compare, of course, but I think that overall this experience leaves us no choice but to have more compassion for these kind of people.
Oh, yeah.
We cannot turn a blind eye. I mean, collectively we're in this. Collectively, this entire world is, now has been thrust into this, what we're calling quarantine or isolation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, I don't think, at least in my years of existence, that I've seen that the entire world is going through something at the same time. Like you hear that, a certain part of the world is in war with a certain part of the world, but it's out of sight, out of mind. But like everybody at the same time is going through something. At the
same time, yeah. You're right. That's what I forgot about. Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's something that my dad's coworker, he's like 80 something, and he said that he's seen a lot in his life, but he's never seen something happen so simultaneously. And that's a lot coming from someone who saw like many different wars.
Yeah, wars, exactly. Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's affecting everybody like in a united way, which I guess I can use as motivation as well. Like it's
it is definitely,
yeah. Feel alone type of thing.
Yeah.
But it affects everybody differently, and it's like I feel like in this isolation we have this is the moment we should reflect.
Yeah.
We should reflect on why we do what we do.
Agreed.
Exactly. Yeah. In one of my classes, my most important class, my portfolio class, the first thing last week that one of my class philosophists was to my professor was like, I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore. Like, I don't want to finish. And
your consciousness.
Yeah, she was like so not motivated anymore, and portfolio is the one thing that's gonna pass you in school, but
it's gonna get you a job.
Exactly. But she's like, I don't know why I'm doing this anymore. Like I see no point to this.
Because it's negative self-talk. Your subconscious, I believe, I forgot what it was. It's your mind. Anyways, in simpler terms, it's your mind that has this thing called negative self-talk, which we're all a victim of. I mean, because we've had conversations outside the podcast, and we know that we all have negative self-talk a lot.
Right.
But I think your professor is experiencing that too, because it's like when you're in isolation, you have more time. And with that time, you do a lot of reflection, but sometimes that reflection becomes overthinking, and then you start being really negative. It's kind of a natural process. I don't know anybody who's immune to it. I mean, I'm a pretty positive person too, but when I'm who we are when no one's watching, when I'm alone, I feel that, there is a certain side of me that comes out that's like really negative. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that my nose looked like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like stupid little things come up in your mind.
Right. But to your point, both of your points, I mean, this is natural. This is a process of like finding purpose. Like us human beings, we need a purpose, right? Because this for some reason, to go back to your example, this person thought that, oh my God, if I go to school, everything is fine. Like this is how much we depend on a normal life.
Yeah.
Normalcy. Like, for context, everybody, artists and designers, we depend on what we call a portfolio to, qualify as qualify as a designer who's going to go get a job or make a name for themselves or create their own, creative businesses or whatever. So for this person or somebody like them to say, what is the point of this anymore? Is a huge deal, because she's not the only one. There are so many more people, right, that are just like, why am I even doing this anymore, et cetera, et cetera. But guess what? I think that creating your own purpose, identifying that, yes, despite the hardship right now, I do need to move on.
Exactly.
And I do need to like think of the brighter side. I keep on repeating this to Manahil, and we keep on repeating this to each other, that there's going to be two kinds of people. Ones that are going to come out of this and be like, what did I just go through in the past 4, 5, whatever this is going to continue as, in these weeks. And then there's going to be those people that are going to be like, all right, I took the time to reflect, talk myself out of negative moments, go through this hardship with other people, but I also was able to, do this, and this. And it's not exactly, a list of productive things that you want to do, but I think it's extremely important that we keep on thinking through this in a positive way, where we are proud of coming out on the other side and saying, okay, I handled this in a respectable way. I did not panic like so many people already are, and maybe I helped some people too. I think
imagine that feeling.
Yeah. So
great feeling. I think there's going to be like 8 different types of people that come out of this, because everyone has their unique experience. You know what I mean? But I know what you mean by saying 2 types of people.
No, of course, yeah.
I think ideally speaking, people should get something out of it, because it's like, this should cause some change. I mean, look, this is the time to reassess your passion. I mean, we talk a lot about qualifications and how us 3, we went through school and we're going through licensing and we have this and we have that. But it's also because there's another component. And that component's passion. I was gonna say fashion, but that's another passion. but because we're passionate about it, and through isolation, I think through this entire crisis, this has really proven. I have proven Taha to Taha. I've seen that this is what I want to go into, because I want to help people who go through things like this. Like, that's a positive thought I had. Besides reassessing the way my nose looks, But I was able to rekindle my light, if you will. But some people are going to be really burnt out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, why am I doing this? Why? And it's like, reassess your passion, because this is the time to do it. This is the time to reapply. This is the time to change your major. This is the time to change your job.
Can you imagine what all the doctors and medical health workers are thinking right now?
Well, my brother's a doctor, and he gave me a little bit of tidbits here and there, but.
Yeah, they're gonna be the ones that need a break after this.
I mean, okay, yes, in the history of this...
Give them protective gear. Not to get political, but seriously?
That's true.
In the history of this podcast, we've talked about the medical field a lot. I just want to take a moment here and say, truly salute you guys. Yeah. I mean...
We appreciate you.
So much. I'm seeing so many stories. It's insane.
It's unbelievable. I mean,
We're
literally...
equivalent to soldiers at this point, especially in this crisis. And also, shout out to my janitors, man.
Yeah. And like all of the cleaners and the transport cleaners and
retail workers.
Yeah. The delivery workers.
The truck drivers.
Grocery workers. They have to touch
warehouse.
Yeah.
Instacarts.
I mean, truly, honestly, I literally read this morning that all UPS, FedEx workers, they're actually working overtime. Despite coronavirus symptoms, they're continuing to work. I mean, it is... I have nothing but the most, love for all these people right now. And just think about it for a second, how much of a privileged world we live in. Yeah. It's not even funny until, something like this happens. We don't have ventilators, for God's sakes, for people who are coming into hospitals. We don't have masks. These doctors are using sanitizers on 4-day-old masks just to make it through. I mean, literally, this is what it means to literally put your life in danger to save somebody else's. How many stories have you heard of these, workers or these hospital, staff get sick themselves?
Yeah, and die.
Oh, of course, they're risking themselves every day.
Yeah, and they also can't see their families. They have to literally sleep in the garage or another part of the house and not even interact with their family, because they might be carriers. Most definitely might be, because they're helping all these other people.
And we can't stay home. Yeah. Can you believe? Have you seen
Yeah.
Those
The
Florida
post,
beaches.
the one where you say like we work. What was it? We work here so you can work from home. Wait, what was it? I'm messing it up.
The doctor one?
We work.
Yeah, the one.
Stay home because weekend or something like that.
Yeah, it was like we work.
We work for you so you can stay home or something
So you
like
can
that.
stay home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one,
Yeah.
You
so
know,
can
which
stay
we're
home
not
for us.
doing still because spring break is so important to us and we have to go to Miami.
Don't even. That's actually a good topic to talk about on the podcast.
It's so frustrating.
I can't believe people. I mean, listen, Minahil and Kinza, you know our desi South Asian catchphrase, "Abe yaar, kuch nahi hota," saying, "Yo, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna be affected." Translation. Now we got freaking college students who we respect a lot, saying that they're padhe likhe, that they're educated. And what are they doing? The exact opposite. They're doing something that's very jahil.
Yeah.
Something that is
Yeah.
very non-educated. Going to crowds of people when explicitly world governments are telling you not to do that just because you didn't want to miss on spring break and the flight tickets were cheap.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now?
I don't even. This is like.
I mean, I want to go out too, but does that mean I'm gonna risk other people's health? They're like, oh, it's gonna risk my health. It's my health. It's my business. Yeah, but guess what? You're taking a flight back home,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the people on the freaking plane are gonna be. I don't even know.
And you're taking it back to like the vulnerable communities, and
Yeah.
they're not even vulnerable anymore. Like 55% of the people I just saw, and again, nothing on this podcast, like statistically, don't quote us, but like
Yeah.
literally more than 50% this morning news at least showed that it's between 25 to 49 years of age. This is not
Yeah.
just about old people anymore.
Yeah.
It's just
not.
Oh, it's because guys, it's a virus. I mean, look.
Yeah, it's not gonna like.
I'm not a medical major, but I know that bacteria it turns into super bacteria, and viruses can get smarter.
Oh, totally. This
yeah.
already thing. This thing already has what, like 5 different kinds. It's just, unfortunately, again, we live in a very privileged world where we think that we know better, we are better than anybody else, we're invincible.
We think that we're untouchable, kind of invincible, no?
Right.
Yeah, but I'm never gonna get it. The
mean-
next thing you know, you have it.
And if this doesn't open everybody's eyes to like how extremely delicate the human race is, I don't
Yeah.
know what will.
Yeah.
I just don't know
Can
what
I
will.
just say? Can we just have next thing you know, you have it on a shirt, please? Because
Yeah.
that's the next merch idea.
That would
Thank
be
you,
a good
Minaj.
merch. Yeah.
It's true because we do wait until something bad happens, then we realize, oh, we shouldn't have done that. It's like look, when you get a plumber to come over your house, and they're like, guys, take care of this leak. It's gonna get bad. Oh, we'll get around to it. We'll put tape on it. Guess what happens 4 weeks later? The freaking ceiling falls and water's everywhere.
Flooded.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is exactly what this is about. I completely agree. And I think we should take a moment here to respect everybody who's literally putting their lives on the line.
Yeah.
The least we can do is we can stop going out except for absolutely when necessary. I mean, the lines in the ERs are already crazy.
Yeah.
The lines in testing sites are already crazy. We've already seen the insanity going
Yeah.
outside of like grocery
Yeah.
stores.
Even just our next door Target. Did you know that there are lines forming over there every day
Yeah,
before
Costco too.
it opens? Yeah.
Wow.
Whole Foods, Target. I saw it on my friend's story. There are lines before they open. Literally. Like, what is going on?
And again, going back to our
reality.
going back to your earlier point, for some parts of the world, this is everyday life.
Yep.
Yeah. Because food is scarce and
And my dad, it's so funny because our dad was just like, going back with us on one of our very limited grocery trips, by the way. And he was like, my sister was, our youngest sister Fatma, she's been on the show. She was like, oh my God, they put a limit on the dairy products and the pizzas. They're like, two pizza boxes or pasta boxes per family, etc., etc. And my dad, yeah, exactly. And my dad was like, yeah, that's exactly how it should happen.
It's just everyone's in shock. They can't.
Yeah.
They don't fathom that this is happening.
Yeah.
Like my mom was at Costco the other day, and she was like, she saw this guy with like 4 gallons of milk, and like the other girl who was working in that aisle took the 2 gallons of the 4 and put it back in the fridge. I mean, that was kind of, there's a lot to unpack there because it's like, okay, did this person really need it? But
Right.
the thing that is that I guess everyone got lucky. The person was cooperative, and then guess who took the other 2 gallons of milk? My mom. So it's like, I mean, in a Desi household, you know that 9 gallons of milk, and now this is not
Sure.
original, I saw it online, that 9 gallons of milk is like normal because of chai. But like, look, going off of that, right? Every Karen and her sister right now is going to markets and buying out like
Right.
a plethora of one item,
Yeah.
multiple items, but like each, 7 things of hand sanitizer instead of just 2. And that bothers me because it's like, okay, now you're not thinking about all the other people.
Yeah.
Now you're
Right.
just thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
Because you have enough money to be able to afford groceries constantly.
Right.
That's your privilege. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people rely on a paycheck to come in,
Yeah.
then they budget it, and then they buy, right? So they don't. So by the time they reach the grocery store, I mean, things can be empty.
Yeah.
They
Which they
are.
are.
You know,
And they have
yeah,
been
and
for
they
2
are.
months.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
All these older people, I mean, plenty of pictures of older people standing besides like empty shelves of
Yeah.
product.
Oh,
It's
also the
so
elderly.
Yeah,
sad.
the elderly is just a whole other story.
And you know what? You're right. There are going to be like 8 different kinds of people that come out of this. I also saw in Twitter sphere that like some people are thinking that gun businesses, like businesses that are selling guns, should be open at this moment because they're essential
Oh my.
as life sustaining. I mean, this by
Yeah.
no means is a political podcast, but I'm just saying that a lot
The
of.
law enforcement is there.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're not working from home. The cops are still out.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's kind of ridiculous.
it, just
All we need, literally, we only need to do 2 things for this to be over. Like, stay home and wash your hands. Like, that is it. You don't even need sanitizer. You just need soap. Literally.
Yeah, I read something about that. How antibacterial soap kills. Hello, antibacterial. You know what I mean? But the thing is, soapy water breaks down viruses because of something to do with their outer layer and not connecting to your skin. So it's always
Yeah.
important to use soap and water. I mean, alcohol does a similar effect, but it's not as effective as just washing your hands.
yeah, it has to be
Yeah.
70% or more alcohol based, basically.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
the thing is, still, any type of soap is still better.
Yeah,
Because
all
it's
the old
foaming.
soap and
It's the
water is
foaming.
great. Like, we can get over this so fast if people literally just stay home for the next 2 weeks and wash their hands. Like, I'm so tired. Just please. It'll be over so soon if you just do this.
And it is everywhere. This wash your hands and stay home, it's everywhere. You
Yeah,
can't miss it.
but people are
Because
not.
you have people who don't listen.
Yeah, still. And those are the people that because of them, this is being so prolonged.
You know who else? The people who see the sun in March and they're like, "Oh, okay, wait, spring. I need to go outside."
Oh, yeah.
No. It's good. You can go outside. You're allowed to take walks. You're allowed to go on a bicycle.
Obvi.
But that freaking like near Brooklyn Bridge and stuff.
Yeah, that's not
People
okay.
are going in thousands. I'm like, what are you doing? People are going in hundreds. My bad.
I can't.
Why are you going in groups? The groups.
Just
are
go by yourself.
Oh my god. Might as well call yourself the Corona bicyclers.
Yeah, literally.
Gang or thing. I don't know. Is that even a word? I don't know.
We just made it into one.
I don't know. Like, what is. Like, because the thing is, it's still coming as a shock to people. We know because
Right.
it's a trauma and crisis, the first step is always shock and denial. Always.
Right.
Like, even before you think that you're going to relapse into thinking about something else,
Yeah,
it's usually just shock and fear
yeah.
and
But
denial. So
Oh.
people are like, no, I'm going to continue my life. Especially New Yorkers. Hello, the most stubborn bunch. Just like Karachi people.
yeah, just like all Desi people. Because coming back to our title, like,
Yeah.
just please don't wait till you get it. Just take precautions before anything happens.
But you guys
The way
are.
that she said it was perfect. So
Say it
perfect.
again.
I was already over it because she said so
I'm
much
so
going on.
yeah, like literally that's all you have to do. Just do it. Like, but nobody's listening. It's like you're a teacher of a kindergarten class and no one freaking listens to you. Or like you're babysitting 100 kids at one time. My worst
It's-
nightmare.
You know what? No, that is a really good way to put it.
It's true. And
Look at it. People are throwing tantrums.
Yeah.
Just like that class.
Yeah. Yes. And our grandparents are better than listening than like some of these teenagers out there right
I
now.
have to applaud my grandparents here.
They are very stubborn, I have to tell you that, but they're actually listening.
I thought they were not going to cancel our monthly family get together, but they actually did. They were
Yeah.
like, no, beta, no, son, we social distancing. I was
Yeah,
like,
they're so
what? Dude. Yeah.
With enough effort and enough patience, which people forget. You can't
Yeah.
nail it in people's head. You have to be patient.
Right.
Unfortunately, I had to learn that the hard way. You must be persistent in trying to give people information, one, when they ask, and if they
Yeah.
don't ask, try to bring it up in conversation.
Yeah.
Try to educate them in a way that you're trying to make it sound like you're not telling them, but you're sharing something that might benefit both of you.
Exactly. And this, you bring a great point. Especially in our community, there is people have all like suddenly become like medical experts, and they're like these WhatsApp aunties and all of that, and you know, they're like giving their own medical opinion on everything and how to, like, you know, these are all fake. It's fake news.
Yup.
It's fake
My
news.
favorite
It
is
is fake news. I mean, look at WhatsApp auntie.
Yes.
WhatsApp auntie.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
do this and-
all right, heat up a clove of garlic and just throw it at everyone.
My favorite is the forwarded message of
Yes.
like, you know, say this prayer 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And God's wrath is gonna go away.
Oh my god, I hate people who are like,
Yeah.
oh, you guys treated this person or this group of people wrong. Now this is our
Yeah,
punishment.
exactly.
It's not canonical. It's not. Oh my god.
Or like
it's
lemon
so
water
offensive
is supposed to
that.
fix everything. It's
Oh
crazy.
my
And then
God.
another thing is the whole social distancing thing. Like, don't take it personally. You know, so many people
Do.
in our
I
community.
didn't shake somebody's hand the other day and took it personally.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're not just for a little bit. Don't take it personally. You know.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But it's also like, okay, again, like everything we're talking about today, there's an equilibrium, there's a balance. Okay, there's a balance between how much you should or shouldn't do something and how much you should or shouldn't be giving something such as advice, right? So, for me, I feel like, yes, this has its advantages. We're all home and everything's great. But everything's not great. Like, here's the equilibrium part. Here's the other side. Here's the playing devil's advocate. You're coming home from college and you have a toxic family system, right? And now something that you weren't part of for a long period of time, now you're
Yeah.
suddenly thrown back into it.
Yeah.
It takes a toll on people, okay?
Yeah.
There is a huge, not only a mental health aspect because of basic necessities not being met, it's also the social gathering family aspect, as you were saying. It's not only to prevent the disease we should be talking about this, it's the people who are suddenly thrown back into it. They don't know how to handle it. They don't
Right.
know how to be that person again because they've sort of grown away from being that person who's always around
Yeah.
family, and now they suddenly have to change. And I think that's like so hard.
It
difficult.
is, yeah, exactly. I was also thinking about all the child abuse, you know, all the children that have to stay home now every day for I don't know how long, you know.
When school was their only escape.
Exactly.
That's a really good point you bring up, sadly.
It's unfortunate, but I think one thing that we should definitely address here, and I would like to say that a lot of our listeners are, you know, of our age and, you know, younger, older also. But, you know, we are hearing a lot of stories about, you know, why am I doing this? I'm going to be graduating into a recession. How am I going to get a job? Minaha is raising her head right now. I think, and Taha is literally thrown his head back right now
Yeah.
with a hand over his face. But we must stick together. We have to depend on each other as a community. We must reach out to each other, and like if there's anything that we think another person can help us, we must not hold back and ask for help. Now more than ever, like Taha said before, we should check in if
Yeah.
Manahil, like I would say that, like if you might have not even talked to this girl ever in your life, but like if you feel like you have two words of support for her, even though you need it yourself, if you feel like you can give it to
Yeah.
her, I would say that do it. It was funny that you not it's really sad that you guys brought up like the whole we're gonna be looking out for a long time, like a suicide tendency watch in the future.
That's a good way you said it. Yeah.
Right. So we have to be mindful of that. Let's be mindful of people who are definitely going to need financial help. I mean, not that we have extra money
Groceries.
laying around. You're right, but help can come in all sorts of ways. If it's a word, if it's a dollar, if it's a piece of chicken, I don't know.
Oh, that would help me.
A smile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
true.
So the main thing that we're getting at, whoever is listening to this right now, just take a moment, assess yourself. If you have some area of your life that you need help with, reach out. I promise you there's going to be people who will help you. And two, even if they don't, you're going to find other people who have a similar situation. They can help you in terms of what to do next.
Yeah.
Also, check in on your loved ones, check in on your friends, check in on your families, check in on your neighbors. Make sure that they're also doing relatively okay. I mean, no one's actually baseline right now. Everyone's kind of, shifting
Yeah.
Yep.
between the negative and positive scale, me and myself included. But again, just check in on people, reach out, and also give a lending hand. I think that would be. I mean, this is essentially something that's transcended all boundaries, which is kind of the beautiful thing about it. This is like the beauty in the ugly truth,
Right.
right? And the beauty is that it transcends boundaries. This virus does not discriminate between race, gender, sexual orientation, culture, religion. It doesn't discriminate, but we do, right? So why don't we learn from the virus in a sense that if that virus is splitting up humanity, let us be the ones who bring it back together. Let
Totally.
us be the ones to help our neighbor who is different from us.
Yeah. Completely
Yeah.
agree. And well
You know
put.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how we will battle it.
Very well put. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
We are also here. So if anybody wants to reach out, just know that we have a good, balance of negative, positive energy right now. We do have the time, and I want to say like maybe mental capacity or like, enough will, I want to say, to help. So if anybody feels like they're having a hard time and just want to maybe throw in a message that we could maybe respond positively to, or with a smile, like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
I mean,
It would be
we
awesome.
can all. I mean, everyone can give informal and unprofessional advice. I mean, because on a human level, we can all relate, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any topics that you think are not even for the podcast, just topics that you think are coming up for you, and you just want to let it out, you want to type it somewhere, you want to talk to someone about it, go to our community board and post it there. Only because you have the option to remain anonymous.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if it asks you for an email, that is for security reasons that we need to have that email, just in case something isn't, appropriate. However, we do have a platform for you to post anonymously. So if you're trying to seek help, you don't want your name attached to it, you're not even seeking help and you just want to share your story, please go over to our website and check it out.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you so much, guys. This was such a nice time.
Yeah, and I'm so
Just-
grateful we could do this
Yeah.
like
Same
this.
here. I mean,
yeah.
thank you guys. Every time you guys we do this project, I always learn something new from you guys, and it really, it lightens me up that there's other people in other fields that have lasting interest in the passion that I have, and that's helping to change.
Right.
Yep. Lots of love. Yeah. Lots of love from afar. But very close.
Yeah.
And I think that this is it for this week.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And honestly, thank you for your support as well. We are still trying to figure out a lot of different aspects of this project, so please bear with us and please continue to support us, because this is just the beginning. Once we bloom, once this flower blooms, once this Lokya Kahenge goes gold, you will be part of the first few people who supported us. So thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. And also, remember, amidst this crisis, amidst this situation that we're all going through, still, don't worry about the judgment of people's place. Don't worry about
Logia
Logia
Kahenge.
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 Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. That was really good. Thanks.